Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dare to Overshare, where oversharing is a love language. I have the lovely Lyric Perez joining me today. She is an executive producer and director of many things, and we'll get into some of the things that she's worked on. She has a pretty impressive resume, but I'm more so interested in you and you as a person. So first things first, thank you so much for being here today. Let's do a vibe check. Let me know how you're feeling today, physically, emotionally, mentally.
Oh, thank God. Today's a good day. Emotionally, I feel great. I feel free. Physically, I feel healthy. I feel stronger than I've ever been. And what was the other one?
I said physically, emotionally, mentally.
Mentally, I feel strong too. I think those things need to be aligned for everything else to happen, you know? So yeah, I feel really good today.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because we all go through things and some days we wake up and we're just not feeling it, but we push through anyways.
Yes, we do.
All right. So let's start with our first overshare. I say our like it's my overshare. It's your overshare, but I'm going to bring it up and then you can expand on it. So the first overshare is that you told me that when you were younger, you dropped out of high school, you grew up poor, you didn't have a lot, but that's not an excuse to not get things done. So let's talk about that a little bit.
If you grew up not having much, that's your excuse to be motivated. You know, I grew up in New York City and nobody does anything but hustle. And you see it all around you because all of the immigrants migrated there and they will do anything, whether it's selling ices in the street, selling hats, selling clothes, Canal Street, you know, it's a place where you make money. It feels like the American dream in New York City because that's just where you go to thrive. So that's always been in me.
Yeah. So you're saying like none of that can ever be an excuse as to why somebody, when they're older, says, oh, I haven't accomplished A, B, and C because I didn't have a support system growing up. How do you feel about that?
It depends on who you are, right? Like there's some people who are born in welfare. They're born into the government helping them and they milk the system or they think that's their only way, not way out, but their way to survive. Some people don't want to leave. Some people don't want to expand. And unless you have example, like my mom was a paramedic and she worked really hard. And I looked at her as, okay, that means that when I'm older, I'm probably going to have kids and be a single mom too. That's how I thought, right? Mm-hmm. But my mom is, I would say my mom, I don't want to just say it's just me. My mother always pushed me, get a vocation. You know, like we were working class, like figure out what you want to do. And so because of that, at a very young age, 15, 16, when I was kind of hitting a wall, like not going to class and high school was like the public school system in New York is terrible. They didn't let me have lunch, nothing. It was like overcrowded. So I would cut school, eat McDonald's with my friends, started smoking weed, you know, and then I'm just like running my life into the ground because I didn't really have responsibility. And I had freedom to do that. And then at 15, I was thinking to myself, like, what am I doing? And that's when I really was motivated to start my independence. I got my driver's license, you know, at an early age. So that I started learning how to drive. Got my license at 16. And then I knew, so I lost my stepfather when I was 16. He was a firefighter. And so my mom was a paramedic. He was a firefighter. And when he died, my mom and him were supposed to buy a house upstate New York. And Red Cross ended up closing that house for her. But I remember thinking to myself, okay, they're going to move and I need to do something. I need to hustle. I need to figure out something. And I dropped out of high school because I didn't want to redo all of the classes all over again. And instead I got a GED and went to cooking school, became a pastry cook for like a year. And then I was like, all right, I'm dumb. I need to, you know, educate myself more and like learn. So I went to college and I applied to like SUNY Purchase and they accepted me. And it was like an art school where I studied songwriting, music theory, film, arts management, marketing. And I took all of those things and like I knew that whatever I'm investing in, my mother and I are investing in, I'm going to take it for what it's worth. I graduated in 3 years. So I started late, but graduated on time. And every single thing that I learned in college, I can apply it to my life now. And I do all the things, including cook.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of things. So Do you think that this statement is true? Well, I guess not for everybody, but in general, that if you had more hardships when you were younger, it does motivate you to accomplish more and do more versus if you had everything that you've needed as a kid covered and you never really had to worry, that you wouldn't be as motivated? Like, do you think that that blanket statement can be true?
It can be true, for sure. Because what in motivation to move, right? What makes us motivated? What makes us want to move? Emotion. Emotion to move. Emotion, right? Motivation.
Motion.
Yeah, like motion to move, right?
Mm-hmm.
So emotion, I'm sure you've heard like energy and motion. Emotion is what drives you to move. That's what motivates you. So that's your why, right? We all do things. It's like, well, why are we doing this? And that's why a lot of people they lose their why, or they do something like, I don't want to do this anymore. I might have fulfilled that purpose. A lot of times people talk about end goals. What's your end goal? Hate that question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And end goal are like two questions that I'm just like, let's be present and let's remember that goals never end. Right? Like you're continuously doing something else because you're alive, and that's what life is for. Not just this one idea that you have to accomplish, and if you don't accomplish it, you're a loser. Or like, there's so many different things that we want to do because we're becoming somebody new every single year, every day.
That's so true. The what do you see yourself in 5 years question. Whenever I would be in job interviews and then they'd ask something like that, where do you see yourself in however many years, or even on dates, people, there's just like a question that people ask. And I've always hated it too, because I never wanted to say, I don't know, out of fear of seeming airy or dumb. Like, what do you mean you don't know? You should know. But a lot of the times I would just be like, well, this is what I think I want, but that might change tomorrow. That might change next year. I don't know. 5 years ago, I would have given you a different answer than I would have given you today. So I love that. Be present and just enjoy the moments as they come. And I also like to say, it's okay to change your mind. Like you went to cooking school. A year later, you said, never mind. I did a job or started a business, said, never mind. It's okay.
It's always okay. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Never. All right. So your next overshare I thought was very interesting and probably something that a lot of people don't talk about a lot, which is when you work behind the scenes. Shout out to Nader back there, my producer. When you work behind the scenes, you don't always get the credit you deserve because people aren't seeing you or hearing about you. So tell me a little bit about that, because I know you've done a lot of behind the scenes work and you've probably craved a little bit of that credit.
I never craved the credit. I didn't crave the credit because it's organic and natural when you're working in TV and film. Like, credit matters, but I didn't care about the credit. I cared more about how my peers saw me work, right? Like, my work ethic was my credit. So how I'm hustling and how I'm doing things correctly, my petty cash, like all the things, I need you to see that I'm on task and I'm helping. I'm actually really assisting the production in a major way. And that for me was important. I think over time working in it, I've been in this business for like 18 years. Over time, you do more popular things. And then when those things are popular, people want to know who's doing this and who's doing what. So they look for you and you're like, are you getting these emails? Like, your show makes me laugh every day. I'm depressed and da-da-da and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, that's really sweet. And then it's a little scary at the same time because you're like, do I engage? Like, this person could be crazy, but like I've engaged and I've been like, it takes effort and intentionality to create an email and tell somebody thank you for your work. And they don't even know you, And I think over time now I care about the credit because I see other people caring about the credit and wanting to take it. And I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Like, okay, we all, every single art form besides a painter painting an art, it's a group project, right? Like,
which
when you're
actually
working,
this painting, by the way, this painting was actually done by 3 of us, me and 2 of my friends.
There you go. So unless it's like a singular thing, usually it's a group effort. We all get the credit, right? We all have different roles that we get credited for. And in TV and film and production, you get those credits at the end.
Mm-hmm.
In corporations, you don't necessarily get those credits, right? You're kind of like a work for hire when you're working a full-time job. And that gets tricky because you don't want to put yourself on the pedestal because they don't want you to be on a pedestal either. They're like, this is the brand, this is not you, or this is the company, this is not you. But yeah, I think credit is important because it shows who's doing the work and who's putting in the work and who's valuable to what, if you ever want to make something in the future with the person.
Do you ever feel like when you did any of these jobs that you had over the last 18 years that you did contribute something very, very heavily and you didn't actually get the credit? Did you ever have a moment like that where you wished that somebody would acknowledge what your contribution was, or did you always feel fairly
my credit was sockets in my pockets. Am I getting paid?
Your credit came in the form of green.
Yeah, am I getting another job after this? Right? Like as a freelancer, that to me was more important. It still is to this day. Like to this day, I battle with putting myself out there. And I'm gonna say, as a matter of fact, I've recently cut that out. Like people have been coming to me or like saying my name in the media like this. So this year, I helped and curated a hip hop cipher. And I've been working with Red Bull for 4 years in their music department, helping cultivate these music projects. And so this one that I did in March of this year was right on time with the talent we selected and the way they rehearsed and the way they really brought it. And what was fun about this certain cipher is they interacted a certain way. And one of the artists who's really doing his thing right now, he's been out for a long time, but he's from New York. His name is Joey Badass.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I love it. He had said this line, too much West Coast licking. And, because Kendrick Lamar was like winning this battle. And so him being from the East Coast talking his shit. And he did a whole comeback to an artist named Ray Vaughn, who's out from here. And it was amazing that he took the platform to do that. I didn't know he was going to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So even the work that I do, I can never say it's only me ever. It's not. It's like everybody gets the credit. It's a group effort, So I'm never blindsided by that. I think that's really important to really create camaraderie with the people that you work with and to pull off an amazing production. Every single role is super important.
It is. And what you said about sometimes there is something where like an art project where someone's working alone. Even then, I mean, you're pulling so many inspirations from so many different people. They may not be actively doing the thing with you, but without those inspiring artworks or those other people, you may not have gotten that idea. So you're right. Everything really is so collaborative, and it's just such a cool, just even having people like you on the podcast, all of this is collaborative. I have so much help behind the scenes, and I'm so grateful. And I love that you have that same mindset, because we as humans, we are not meant to be lone wolves, right? We're meant to be in tribes. Tribes are so, back in the day, there were tribes, right? We're meant to be that way. I think when people have this lone wolf mentality of I can do everything by myself, that can get you so far, that can get you to a certain place. But at the end of the day, when you don't have your team and your tribe and you're helping each other to get things done, it just makes life so much harder and kind of miserable, right?
It's a trauma response.
Yeah.
That's a trauma response.
Let's talk about that.
I don't like asking for help.
Have you ever felt that way?
I still feel that way.
You still feel that way?
Oh my God. I pushed past it. This year, I sprained my thumb really bad, and I moved at the same time. And it was a hard time for me. It was I got laid off. Like all of these things happened at once, emotionally, mentally, and physically. I couldn't do it.
So if I had asked you how you were feeling back then, you would
have been, I'm fucked up.
So what about asking for help scares you or bothers you? Why don't you like to do that?
People don't want to be needed sometimes. Sometimes people can't help themselves. Sometimes people might see you as needy. Sometimes people, it's rejection. It's maybe that person, maybe I want to control something and that person can't help me the way that I need to be helped. Or there's different layers to why asking for help is scary. Sometimes there's a power, a law of power. It's one of my favorites.
Give it to me.
The truth is, Robert Greene said, despise the free lunch. And you think about that, somebody offering you help without you ever asking for it, because it's like, now you owe me a favor. So it's like, if you help me, like now I'm indebted to you or something. Like people's intentions might not be proper, right? But help to actually get the help you need and be loved well, and somebody wants to help you, that should be life. It's not always life, but when you're brave enough to ask for help and the person can help, like my mom helps me all the time with words, with whatever I need. Like if I really need something and she hears me, whatever she can do, she takes care of me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying she pay my rent and stuff, but like any little thing.
Maybe if she could, she would.
If she could, I'm sure she would. Like my mom would do anything for me. And like, this is the second time I talk about my mommy.
Oh, like, we love our moms.
I love my family, period. And like, I guess I come from a good-hearted, place. So I just carry it on.
So if you feel like sometimes you don't want to ask for help out of fear of rejection or being needy, how do you feel when someone asks you for help?
Depends.
So let's say it's just a friend who's just like, hey, I need help moving. Will you help me? Or something like that.
Help moving, sure. I'm a woman though, you know what I mean? You might want to ask a guy. But no, like I love being there for my friends and my people. I'm generous with money. I'm generous with my attention, my energy. I'm generous with anything. I even like have healing modalities. Like I'm certified in breath work. Like I'm a big giver. It's easy, and that's also a trauma response.
Well, I think too, when you are a big giver, sometimes it's hard to receive, and that's the whole thing too. Is I think that I've also had to learn, because I've always felt like I gave a lot of time and energy and things to people, and whenever somebody would want to do something nice for me, I would be like, "Are you sure? It's okay. Don't worry about it." And recently, as soon as someone says, "Let me get that for you," or "Let me buy that," or "Let me do that," I go, "Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it." And that's hard. It's hard, but it feels so good, because you're like, yeah, I deserve it. I'm receiving.
Why do you think it's hard for you when someone's giving that to you?
It was. I think now it's a lot easier, but
like, do you feel like you owe them something? Or
I feel like I don't want to inconvenience anybody. It's not even necessarily that I feel like I have to owe them. I feel I don't want to inconvenience you. I don't want you to spend money on me. I don't want to put you out by you doing something nice for me, because I got it on my own. I can handle it. But also nowadays, I ask for help. I ask for things when I need them. And I realized closed mouths don't get fed. And when I ask for something, even if that one person I'm asking, maybe they can't help me or they're not the right person, because I'm saying it out loud, the universe provides. And now I'm getting that help from someone out of the blue, even know, a stranger I met on the street who all of a sudden has the thing that I need. And I'm like, wow, how did that happen?
Right.
And that actually leads me into manifesting, because everyone knows that that's my favorite subject, and I'm writing a book on it. And I know you're big into manifestation, so let's talk about that. I think that I know there are people out there who for sure believe in manifestation. And then there's people out there who go, that's just a crock of shit. You got to work hard for the things you want. You can't just wish it to happen. And of course, manifestation is much more complex than just wishing or hoping. So I want to ask you about your manifestation techniques and what you do to get things to come to you in fruition.
Sure. So I've been manifesting since I was a kid. And no one taught me. No one said, oh, this is manifestation. Oh, this is affirmation. Oh, this is, I had it in me when I was young. I was in a little league team, and I remember us trying to win this tournament. There was a piece of paper and it had no names of the teams, but this team went to the tournament, and I saw with my eyes, I envisioned our team being at the top, and we ended up winning. And I didn't really we weren't that great. You know what I mean? So I remember that being like maybe one of my first manifestations. And then I became Christian in 2004, when I was like 18, I became Christian. And I think it's interesting how Jesus, Yeshua, the whole Christ consciousness is about being empowered and being filled with the Holy Spirit, with God, right? And moving like God. And that's why a lot of people didn't like Jesus. They were like, oh no, blasphemy, let's get you out of here. And I think even in our society and culture, we're not all taught to be empowered. We're taught to believe in magic, right? Like McDonald's and Disney and the imagination. They're pointing to something when they do that. And magic is very real. And it's not, like the illusion of things, but actually here's quantum physics. You ready? Can we get into quantum physics?
I love quantum physics.
Because it's the science and spirituality, and it'll put us on.
Oh, man, I'm getting goosebumps because I love quantum physics.
So basically, and I learned this through Dr. Joe Dispenza. Shout out to him.
I love that, man.
I would, and to anybody listening, Neville Goddard is amazing when it comes to manifestation and talking all that stuff. Like, he knows what's up. And I like Alan Watts too, but he doesn't really talk about manifestation. But anyways, when your heart is the first organ that is made in your body when you're created, right? And so that beats on a frequency. And the frequency is usually more powerful than your brain waves can make. So your brain waves make frequency, your heart. But when these two are aligned, which means that when you see it happening now, when you feel it happening now, and I think it happening now I'm really aligned and I feel into something. And I'm just going to stay there and I'm going to keep feeling into that. And that is my reality. And I open my eyes and I'm right here, but my reality is that, and this is coming to fruition. God and I are working on this together. We're co-creators in this. So now when I say amen, or so be it, I'm confirming it is so, which means I let it go now because it's already happening. And it's not only a petition, it's a grant, a wish that's granted. My wish is already fulfilled. If I don't believe, not faith, not hope, if I don't believe that my wish is fulfilled now, it might not come to fruition later. So that's manifestation. And there's different ways to manifest and tap into that power where you're believing and you're feeling at the same time. And that's usually through meditation. You can play certain sound frequencies. Writing things down is the most potent and powerful way for your soul to speak. And that's why they call it like spell work. Like if we're bringing magic back up, right? Spelling, that's what we call it, spelling. Abracadabra, where that term comes from, means I speak what I create.
It's Hebrew, yeah.
I speak what I create. So like, for all of us that are entertained by the abracadabra, like I speak what I create. Like the power is in the word, the power is in the tongue. And so it's really important that when we're talking to our friends, when we're talking to each other, and people say things to you like, dating is hard. Like, instead of somebody saying like, dating can be hard or dating is hard for me, when someone's talking to you and like, dating is hard, and you say, you're affirming that shit with them. And you're agreeing to that agreement. You're creating a new contract in the quantum realm saying that dating is hard. Now for me, but it doesn't have to be.
100%. What you say is what I think about on a daily. That's why I say it's my favorite subject, because your word is your wand is one of my favorite sayings. And the example I use, it's funny that you used dating is hard as an example. The example I tend to use is so many women will say men are trash. That's like it's such a big thing. Yeah, maybe the men that you've been attracting are trash because you've been attracting them. So what's going on in your insides to attract? Now, I've also attracted that before. You know what I mean? You got work to do at that point. But my point is, if you say something that's such a blanket statement, how is that ever not going to be true? Then at that point in your mind, no matter what man is in front of you, that man is trash. Are you saying that your dad is trash, your brother is trash, your teacher in high school is trash? You're saying that every single man you meet, that's just an example I use. I mean, there's so many examples we can use, but I still struggle with this. I try very hard to not say always and never, because I'll be like, oh, I always do that, or I never do that. And then I'll be like, no, That's not true. So I feel like sometimes when you do say something, because we all make mistakes with our words, we're human, it's important to notice what you're saying. And then the universe is listening. So you can backtrack. You could say, never mind, I didn't mean that, you know? And
cancel that out.
You can
throw it in the fire.
You really can. It's like a spell, because just because you said it, I also want to say, don't be hard on yourself, because sometimes we do say things that we don't really mean. And so you can kind of just cancel, just veto it, you know? So do you ever do that?
Things that we don't really mean, you know?
Yeah.
You know? Meaning and mean and mean. It's interesting, those words. But no, I feel like we have to be, we're all copiers. I'm a leader, but we're all copiers, right? Like we hear things, we and then it's embedded in our subconscious, and that's what I mean. We're not intentionally copying, but that's just how human behavior is.
Well, from childhood, it's like if your parents told you that it's hard to make money and we're poor or something like that over and over and over and over again, your brain is now thinking that. Or in my case, it was the health related things, you know, that be careful about this, watch out for that. It's not healthy, it's scary. And then I grew up not having the best health, you know? So I think it's what you hear over and over again, right? It's subconscious. So it's the subject is super important, I think, just to talk about in general.
Because you're literally creating your life every day.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of us, we say things like, I got to get my life together. You know, you got to get your mind right. You got to get your mental right. Because if you're not, you have to care about who you hang out with. You got to care about who's speaking in front of you, what you're consuming online even, because you're hearing this and your subconscious is probably agreeing to it because of how they're talking to you on that screen. Oh, so when a guy ghosts you and so ladies, this is what this means. Like, it's just like, everybody just relax, because you don't know everything. And, you know, but at the same time, I find these a lot, that there's really healthy, you know, dating coaches and like certain conversations, parenting. I don't have kids, but like I'll watch parenting videos because I care about that kind of stuff. Like, how do we make things right? How do we make ourselves and the world better? How? Because don't we want to be happy? Like, do we want to suffer and do everything in suffering, or do we want to make a change? Okay, I see the issues. I understand the issues within. So I have to do so much work here to battle those things, what we used to attract, or what we used to we're not even attracted to that anymore, but we're still wanting to deal with that. That's also like, why am I going crazy right now? Why do I still want to deal with that when I don't want to deal with that? Oh, the trauma. Okay, how do I break out of this? Okay, discipline. Say no and just fight through that every day, so you can create new and better habits for you.
It's like an addiction, right? When you have an addiction, you have to say no in order to start to overcome or to heal. And that's why, I mean, I don't know too much about, you know, the addiction world, but I know that when you go to AA, you're supposed to introduce yourself and say, my name is Jackie and I'm an alcoholic. You can't say I used to be or I was, because then you're negating that was a part of your life. And I've always wondered about that. I've always wondered, is that healthy to still say that you are that thing, or should you just say that you're not? Like, I don't actually know, right? I'm no expert on this subject, but if you keep saying that you are something, even when you're not anymore, aren't you doing the opposite? Now, I invite anyone in the comments to correct me, tell me what you think. I don't know. But it's always just been a question in my mind when someone says, I am a drug addict. Well, I haven't done drugs in 20 years, but I am addicted.
Do you know why they do that?
Is it to keep you?
So my grandmother was an alcoholic, or is an alcoholic, right? Was an alcoholic. And when I was a little girl, she would take me to AA meetings that she would run. She would run them.
Okay.
Yes. Maybe that's why I'm not an alcoholic today, because I heard everybody's story as a kid.
Yeah.
That's why I started drinking coffee, because they would have coffee and like pound cake there. But, you know, I went to a lot of them. And the first step of admitting that you're an addict is not denying that you're an addict.
Okay.
So because that's like the rule, people say, hey, look at me. My name is, and I am this. And here's my story. And they're like, hi, this person. So it's like this bravery thing that they train you to do for recovery in those settings. But I agree with you 100%, especially based off of what we're saying. When you say, hey, and I'm an alcoholic, no, I used to be an alcoholic, or I'm this 8 years sober. Say that, lead with that.
Yeah, and I can see how an introduction like that makes sense to kind of claim it as this is yours so you can overcome it. But once you've claimed it, now I feel, okay, now
you're healthy, right?
Yeah.
Now you're
if anything,
sober.
You should get up and say, my name is Jackie, I'm sober, I'm healthy, and who cares what you used to do? Not who cares, but
they got to talk about it. They got to talk about it.
So, yeah, I've always been curious about that and the psychology behind why that's a thing. And now I have friends who have been addicts and who are no longer and who are X amount of years sober. So maybe I should have this conversation with them as well, because they could probably educate me more on that. But it's cool to know that you've actually gone and you kind of know a little bit more about that. I love these tangents, by the way. It's like, why are we talking about AA meetings? Because we can.
Fun fact, addiction, right?
Yes. Before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to Vibes. These are the mood drinks with magnesium. Magnesium is so nice to just chill and relax. And I'm drinking my blood orange lime. Lyric here has her blueberry mint. And I have 10% off for you. So if you want to check these drinks out, they're delicious and healthy. You can go to idrinkvibes.com. That's vibes with a Y. 10% off with code Jackie Hollywood on your total order if you want to check them out. I want to move on to hot takes.
Okay.
So your first hot take is that being a workaholic is not toxic if you love what you do. So I want you to elaborate, because the term workaholic can have a negative connotation, not to everybody, right? So it depends. But there's this whole hustle culture where you got to work, you got to hustle to get what you want. And I've always thought that was it was too much. Hustle culture is too much. Everyone needs to rest and sleep a little bit too. That was always kind of where I was at. But you're saying that if you love it, it's not actually a bad thing. So I want you to elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay. I love being of service, and I love creating, and I love adding to humanity. So and I do those things in my work. And when I'm able to do that, it gives me purpose, and it makes me feel purposeful and happy.
Mm-hmm.
So does rest, especially as you get older and when you're like hustling all your life. But when you are working, it gives you purpose, like depending on what you do. I'm not an advocate for hustle culture how do I say this? My industry is very demanding. It's very busy. So sometimes I can't stop because a project needs to be, but once the project ends, oh yeah, I'm taking 3 days, at least 3 days.
Yeah.
I wasn't big on taking PCO, I'm not going to lie. Because again, I love working, and I also travel for work. So like, I'll find a way to like have a little leisure or have a little downtime while I work. Like, like finding balance in your life is really important. And I also want to say that, again, working, being of service, that can also mean if you have a family, to be in service to them. That's also work, right? Like, like being in service is working. That's what that is. So you're always working, even when you're not. That's why it's important to just like, even your brain's working that's why meditating is important. So you can just kind of shut your mind off for a second. Because it's hard for us to do. Even when we're dreaming, when we're sleeping, where our minds are still moving, our spirits, our souls are like doing this and that. And you know what I mean? So finding solace should also be a part of the work.
How do you feel about the term, I'll sleep when I'm dead? So many people say that.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Yeah. No, we don't do.
Because that's
we're gonna stay awake till we die.
Because that's such a common thing, and obviously people still sleep, but people that say something like that, a lot of the times they're getting maybe 4 hours of sleep a night because they're hustling. And to each his own. I'm not knocking anybody. I know me. I need 9 hours. I need 8 is my minimum. If I don't get 8, I'm not good. I need 9. I could do 10. But I'm just saying there's people that sleep 4 or 5 hours because they're like, well, I got to get things done. But like, how do you feel on the inside? How much sleep do you get? Do you get a good amount of sleep?
I usually get 7.
Okay.
Like on a good day, 7 to 8. But usually my body is cool with 7.
Okay. That's a pretty I feel like that's probably the minimum, of what we should be I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying. I think 7 to 8 is like where we're supposed to be.
And if I'm going to keep it a buck, my sleeping is different all the time. It depends on what I'm going through. It depends on how God's communicating with me. You know, like I'm very like tapped in. So like lately I've been waking up at 4 o'clock every morning, and I'll be tired at like 10:30. So I'll go to sleep at like 10:30, 11, and then I'll wake up at 4 and I'm like, or 3.
Do you get up naturally or your alarm is set?
Naturally.
Oh, you're just up and ready.
Depends on what's going on. I've been going through like a spiritual, like you've heard of your Saturn return.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was like a one-time thing. It happens again.
Oh.
And it's like, oh, I'm dying. The ovary is dying. And then like, it's like, oh, I'm a new person. And like with a new brain. And I'm not anxious or avoidant. I'm healthy. And I'm handling this. And I'm full of belief. Not faith and hope, but I'm full of belief. And like, when you do that, do the spiritual and mental work, fasting is also really helpful. You know, like sometimes your sleeping patterns could be off. But yes, back to the sleeping. 8 hours. If I sleep 8 hours, I feel like I can do everything. But then I might not sleep the way I was sleeping yesterday. You know what I mean?
Right. Sometimes it feels like there's not enough time in the day. And so sleeping an extra hour you almost get anxiety because you're like, well, I need to finish this and do this and call them and do my emails. And that's such a popular belief. And to me, I'm like, I have time to sleep because guess what? If I get the extra sleep, I'll be more productive during the day. Now, you know, but like I said, the workaholic thing, it goes back to when you're passionate about something, if you feel like you're following your dharma and you're actually doing what you're meant to do on this earth, then it's not going to really feel like work and you're going to enjoy to be present. So I can agree with you there. Now, people that are working jobs where maybe they're not happy and they're just not feeling satisfied, then that workaholic mindset might become toxic because now you're not happy, but you're doing more and more and more of it. So I think there's like a fine balance, right?
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Because it's not always like bad anxious. Like sometimes you're up because you had such a great day.
Yeah.
Like I've had days where I was just like, I shot like 3 ciphers in a week and back to back. And I'm just like, that went so well that I don't want to go to sleep.
It's like endorphins. You're just excited still from the day.
I get excited a lot. Yeah. Like there's times where I'm either, it's funny because I'm either like excited and hyper or I'm like, all right. And like, and I've been learning like, okay, Lyric, you don't need to be up here and you don't need to be down here. Find a middle ground and be okay with that. If you're bored today, be bored. Like, you know, like I think we as humans do that a lot too. Like we like to be stimulated. Coffee, weed. I mean, weed is still a stimulant. It might not be like a caffeine type of stimulant, but it still stimulates you. We're always looking to stimulate our nervous system in a way, whether even that's through like flirting online with people. People use, you know, they use flirting online as a stimulator for themselves, shopping, all different kinds of addiction or addictive things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I digress. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. You reminded me of something. I'd like to take daily walks. Every day I leave and I take a walk outside. No matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm doing, how busy I am at work, I'll leave for a walk. And the other day I had my headphones in because I was going to make a call, but then I didn't end up getting on the phone. So I just ended up turning on music. And as I was walking on my walk, it hit me. I said, why are you listening to music on your walk? You don't need that right now. Because nothing wrong with music. I love music. Music's great. I listen to music all the time. But when I'm on a walk, to be present and to just kind of clear my mind and be still, to take a break from work, I don't want to have music because that's just another distraction. So I actually turned it off, took my headphones out, and I was like, I'm just going to listen to the birds chirp, you know, I'm going to listen to the cars drive by. And that's normally how I do my walks. It's just that as soon as I pop the headphones in, it almost gave me anxiety in a weird way that I had music in while I was on my walk. And I'm like, wow, that's a sign of growth, because before I would have just always listened to my music. But now it almost bothered me to have my headphones in. And so that was a sign that that's just a stimulant. I don't need that right now. Sometimes it's okay to just do nothing and just hear the sounds of the cars driving by. Or sometimes when I'm eating my meals, you know, we're always scrolling, or we have turning on the TV, or we're listening to music. Sometimes I just turn everything off and I just eat in silence. And I just want to say that's been a game changer for my mental. So it just reminded me of what you said about everything being a stimulant, because it is.
It is. Yeah, that's why, again, and I agree. I think, but again, when we're young and we're kids and we're full of exploration, we love being stimulated. We don't.
Oh, yeah.
Kids hate being bored. They're like, who's talking? Nobody's talking to me. I don't want to. Like, but the older you get and the more experience you have, like, you've explored a lot. And there's a lot to dissect and download. And when you're on go, 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 and you're not sitting there to self-reflect and dissect everything that happened, that look, that vibe, that feeling that I had. Like, you have to check in with yourself about what happened in the day so you know how to continuously move to protect yourself, to create a better life for yourself. And that's why self-reflection is so important. And sitting in silence could also be so important, or living alone, or finding quiet time for yourself. I think that people in relationships, partnerships, who live together definitely need times of separation to empower themselves, recharge, and then come back together. Even if you're in this room or that room, or doing this and that, they doing that, like, it's really important in this human experience to really take care of yourself so we can take care of each other.
Yes, I love that. I agree with that. And I couldn't have said it better myself. I want to move on to the next hot take that you have, which you said, fear is a lie. Society programs us to play small. So let's talk about fear, because I love that subject too. I think I grew up with a lot of fear. So let me know about your experience with that.
When you can create fear in someone, you're disempowering them. And so a lot of powerful people like to instill fear because they want to have power over you. Fear is a form of abuse. When we fear something, it's because we feel threatened, right? And I'm just going to get into Disney programming real quick, because in every Disney story, there's a parent missing. So there's a form of trauma, and then the girl always has to get saved by a man who's a prince, who got money on a white horse, and he gonna come, and what's she doing? Wishing in the well. Who's gonna come save me? That shit fucked me up as a kid. Sorry for the curses.
No, you're fine.
It plays a role. That plays a role and for women, and then men also. The patriarchal society thinking is destructive for men and women, because we're not indigenous people, Native Americans. Women made the teepees and the clothes, built the homes and created the clothes, while the men went to hunt and gather. And the men would come and cook. It takes a village, right? Like, it's not men do this and women do that. And, masculine and feminine and what these things mean. Every woman and man is masculine and feminine. We all need each other. But I think realizing and learning how to really be there for each other is super important. You know what I mean? So fear, when you put fear in people, it fucks everything up. Now I'm afraid to move. Now I'm afraid to do. Now I'm afraid to be. And I can't create anything when I'm afraid. I cannot live confidently if I'm afraid.
Have you ever had any fears in your life that you've overcome since you were a kid?
Every day, I overcome something that I'm afraid of.
What's like the last major thing?
Shooting a certain kind of text to somebody and articulating myself a certain way that wasn't avoidant or anxious, but calm and healthy. It's scary to be vulnerable, right? It's very like, all right, I'm going to show you all my feelings. What are you going to do with them? Right? But I can't create something beautiful, or a beautiful relationship, or a beautiful partnership if I'm afraid to do that. Right? We have the news. All they do is put us in fear. AI is going to take over. iRobot. And you know what? Maybe it will. But I can't live in fear. I get so angry sometimes. When I got angry the other day, I cleaned my whole house, and I was just like, I'm sick of making myself become afraid. I'm sick of other people making me become afraid. That's not what Jesus is about. That's not what being empowered is about. That's not what living in your power and living in your truth is about, because we're magical beings and we're still alive. We're still here. What is it? Life or death? Like, I have to do so much to fear this when I could be living. You know what I was thinking about today? Love. Love, that's a strong word. You heard that before, right? Love is but we could say
that 4-letter word. People are always like, "Ooh, I can't say that yet."
but hate is better. It's like, I can't tell somebody I love them because it's going to scare them. They're going to, because that means that they think you want something from them or something. Like, a lot of us are programmed with bullshit and nonsense.
Yeah, 100%.
And we're always going to be afraid because we're afraid of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. Even when we want to evolve that newer person, we're afraid to become that newer person. So some of us are afraid, right?
Yeah.
And some people won't. They'll say, I don't really know what the better me looks like. I don't know what the bigger house looks like. I don't know what having this type of job and what that demands of me is going to really look like. So I'm not even going to mess with it. And I deal with that every day. But then I push past it. I said, no, I'm not going to quit my piano lessons. I'm going to keep going. And it's challenging to read music and to count and to figure out how to place your fingers and to remember what letter everything on the piano is and what's sharp and what's minor and what's flat. And it's a lot. But it's doing something in me. It's speaking to my inner child. I bought a piano and I didn't know. And I was hesitant about buying the piano. You know, when you're freelancing, I don't know when I'm going to get my big chunk of change. I bought the piano and I have moments, I've had it for like maybe a week. I've had moments with the piano where I've sat and put my head down and just like it fed, like I bought myself a piano.
That's beautiful.
You know, and like, so whenever you push past fears, you just really discover who you are. Like, you learn who you are with the strength of God. Like, this is what I've pushed past.
Yeah, you're so right that I think a lot of the times when people try to manifest something and it doesn't work and they get frustrated, they're like, well, I believe and I want and it's not happening. Sometimes what it is, and I could say this because it's happened to me, is that you're not afraid of failure all the time. Sometimes you're afraid of success, because what if you get everything you've ever wanted and then you can't handle it? Or what if you get the fame you wanted, or you get the money and then you don't know what to do with it, or you're afraid to lose it all, or you're afraid to be seen? And so I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because I don't think people are always afraid to fail. There are people that are afraid to fail. And there's also people that are afraid to succeed. But either way, it's still fear, right? It's still fear. It doesn't matter which route that fear is taking you. So it is super, super important, I think, to just ask yourself, what are you afraid of? Because like you said, we go through fears every day. Even sending a text can be scary because you don't know how that person's going to respond. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you've spoken your truth and now whatever is out there is out there. But sometimes we have to do the hard things. We have to say the hard things and speak our truth. And none of that is easy, but not everything's meant to be easy.
And when you do it, it's like, because you're like, oh, wow, like I communicated in a healthy way that was super clear. And I got a response that was healthy and super clear. And this whole time I thought being avoidant was me protecting myself from rejection or from my ego. And no, I was just afraid. I was just, not courageous. I was just, that's corny of me to be like that, especially when people pride themselves, I'll keep it real, or I tell the truth, or, like, all right, but can you really show up authentically as yourself where other people might judge you and you don't want this person to judge you? And I love showing up as myself. And the more that I feel comfortable and confident in doing that, the more I feel free. And the more love I feel within, the more loved I feel, from other people. And yeah.
It is very liberating. And also, if you do speak your truth and you don't get the response that you were hoping for, well, that's just a blessing in and of itself, because now you know that other person, that you know how they feel. And now the truth comes out from how they feel. And now you can make your decisions. You can move differently. So it's a blessing no matter what happens, as long as you speak your truth. And as long as your intentions behind your truth are good and kind and all that, you know, because we can also talk about, we could just walk down the street and be rude to people and just speak our truth. Okay, well, we don't need to do all that.
That's something else.
I was just talking about that earlier. I'm like, yeah, speaking your truth and being direct is great, but you also need to kind of
have consideration.
And have a little emotional intelligence of when and where to be that way and with who and why. Like, what's the purpose behind being that way? So I love it. So tell me a little bit about, I just want to know a little bit about what you're doing currently, what projects you're working on, anything that you want people to know, because I know you have a very extensive background and you're obviously very creative, intelligent, and all that. So
there's a couple of things. There's another cipher that I worked on with Red Bull that's coming out on Tuesday. I don't know when this is dropping, but
it'll for sure be out by the time this drops.
So check it out. It's on Red Bull 1520 YouTube channel. But it's this R&B cipher. And no one really does R&B ciphers. It's always rap.
Yeah.
So I had Aaron Ray, Alex Isley, Joyce Rice, and a girl by the name of Anissa Strings, who's a bass player and a singer. And together we did this amazing cipher. And the way it came together was, it's like a song, you know? That's coming out. And then I have some concepts in development that I'm pitching around right now. Music programming in particular, or like talk show type things, because I work with other people also who come to me with ideas and help them elaborate and build off of those. Another thing I'm working on is with a group of friends for another music content programming channel called RCE. And they have a program called Golden Hour, which is like they have the best DJs and they do a set and they record it, or they have a party and they have different DJs come and everybody's wearing a certain color palette. It's kind of similar to this one. And they have a loft downtown and it's just really great programming. And so I'm starting to work with them on several series for that channel. And just keeping myself busy and writing some poetry books.
Cool.
So doing all the things I love to do.
Playing the piano.
Playing the piano, like just building myself and like seeing what comes of all the great things, all the fears that I'm pushing past.
I love that. It's beautiful. So give a note to your younger self. Younger Lyric is in the room with us right now. How old is she when you envision her?
I don't know why I said 11.
11. Okay. There you go. Talk to her. Tell her. Give her a message.
You are the one. You are the one. Do not be intimidated. Always be a leader and go with your gut. You are beautiful and you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful life.
Yes, you are. And so it is.
And so it is. Amen.
All right. Tell everyone where they can find you and keep up with everything that you're doing.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Lyrics Poetic. You can find me on LinkedIn, Lyric Perez.
Oh, that's the first LinkedIn plug we got. Yeah.
If you want to work, I do have a website and a production company called Thanks for Tuning In. So that's thanksfortuningin.com. I do have, if you are interested in film production, television production, and knowing the ins and outs, I do have like $5 courses on how to be a PA, how to read call sheets. And and I'm making some more courses, and that's skipfilmschool.today.com.
Good names.
Right? Like
good branding.
You got to be creative. So so that's where you can find me. And if you're lucky, you can find me in real life. Catch me in real life.
Yeah, I got lucky enough. So I'm going to tell my listeners, thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your life and your vulnerability with me. It means a lot to me. You know, sometimes I get friends on here. Sometimes I get total strangers who are recommended by other friends. And it's such a cool space that, we can have these kinds of conversations. And I super appreciate everyone listening, watching. You guys just make this so, so beautiful for me. My heart is full. I'll see you on the next episode. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.